Yes, come on, indeed. Well, they're having fun with some games. We're talking word games now. I mean, going back to school is definitely not enough. So this morning, parenting expert Nikki, she's introducing Tenji to some new techniques of how to extend your vocabulary. In fact, this is for kids. It's called word games, and it teaches you how to extend your English vocabulary. But don't take my word for it. Here's Nikki, our parenting expert.
While we're not all naturally talented public speakers, it's very important for children and adults to be able to speak clearly and confidently. And one way to do that is by introducing word power games into your family at an early stage. Nikki, why is having a good grasp of language and a strong vocabulary such an important skill to have?
Tenji, children are full of ideas, inspiration, but if they can't express those ideas, if they don't have the words, they're at a serious disadvantage. So we really need to get our kids over that hump of saying just that things are cool or awesome or gross, because that's the trap kids tend to fall into today.
So I used to love reading growing up as a child, but what other games can parents use to get their children to really use their words?
Tenji, you mentioned reading as a child. Well, this is an art that is falling away. And with really busy parents today, parents are not reading bedtime stories to their children like they used to. In bedtime stories, there is very descriptive and colourful language, and that's where children learn how to use those very descriptive words in context that children are going to need when they do literature in the higher grades when they're at school. So we must still try and encourage them to read real books. If they won't read them in a book form, of course you've got Kindles and you've got tablets that you can download books onto today. So don't not read because your children won't read a real book. Get technology to work for you if that's going to be the hot button to press.
It feels like there really isn't a lot of time to sit and do some reading. So how else can we encourage our children to really engage with words?
Many parents spend a lot of time every day with their children in the car or on some form of transport. And you can play lovely word games that cost absolutely nothing but a bit of your time and attention. So we could play a word game right now, which would be word ball, for example, where I throw a word to you and you must come up with another word that associates with my word. So if I said snow, what would that evoke for you?
Winter.
Cold.
Warm.
Hot chocolate.
Tea.
Teapot.
Oh.
And so we go along.
Okay.
And then another really fun one is I want to rhyme in double quick time, and the word to rhyme is stop.
Flop.
Pop. And we keep going.
Keep
Top.
going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once again, we're throwing words at each other and we're having to dig deep to find words that match. You know, the great thing is that when you play games like this, your kids know you're invested in them and you're paying them attention. So they generally will pay attention back.
But I see you have some props. I'd rather play with those. Should we try those
Absolutely.
instead?
Now, one of the ways that children build their word skills and their word power is to be able to construct and deconstruct words. And Scrabble is really good for that. And it's been revamped this year in the form of Scrabble Speed. And this is almost like creating crosswords, but without the board. And it's an electronic form of Scrabble. Kids love this because you press this button and out fall 12 letters. Everybody gets 12 letters, and you are racing each other and the timer to create a crossword puzzle using all 12 letters. And then we have Zingo Word Builder. This would be for the younger children, grade 2s, grade 3s, who are learning 3-letter words. And it's got a wonderful letter getter, which they simply adore. And it really is an inspiration to make them play. There you go, zip zap, and out pop some letters. And then here you have these cards. This is the easy side because you only have to add one letter to form a word. And we've got a U or an as we would say to kids. So we've got but. They have to complete the words. Over here, they have to add 2 letters in order to complete the word, so it's a whole lot more difficult. But we're actually competing because we all get to see these letters at the same time, and the first person to call out which letter they need gets the letter. Then the first person who finishes the board is the winner of the round.
So South African children grow up with a multitude of languages around them, but why is it so important for children to know how to speak English?
Well, the world of business, Tenji, runs on English. The economy runs on English. So it's vitally important that children know how to express themselves in English as well as their home language. So if your child is going to be growing up in South Africa, I would strongly suggest that they encourage a child to speak their home language as well as acquiring English from as early an age as possible. One of the easiest ways to teach two languages is that one person speaks one language to the child and another person speaks the other language, and you don't cross over. That is an effective way of doing it so that children don't get confused.
The joy of word power games is that they don't all come out of a box. There's an abundance of crossword puzzles, word searches and memory games available so that little minds are always active.